Here we go. Right, great. Right. I'm going to get my clock working. Oops. So I should get this. Let me out with you. There you go. Right. And timer. Let's go for 40 minutes. Right. Gonna have one break. Oh, yeah. Right. I'm ready. Boom. Right. Couple seconds of silence. Oh, hi there, folks. It's WP Tonic, episode 98, and we've got a great guest in this show, Devin Walker. Introduce yourself, Devin.
Hey guys, I'm Devin Walker, and I'm really happy to be on WP Tonic today. Thanks for having me, guys.
And I've got my great co-host. Introduce yourself, John.
Hello, I'm John Locke. I run a small consultancy in Sacramento called Lockdown Design.
He's gone, oh, hello, folks. I'd just like to introduce Devin. Devin Walker, the founder of WordImpress, the creator of the Give WP plugin, donation plugin, I like to say. He's also an experienced WordCamp speaker, a fantastic golfer, cat lover, and aspiring world traveller. That's not a bad introduction, Devin. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey,
no problem. We've been looking forward to the interview. So, any new developments with WordImpress? Obviously, you're most famous, I think. I don't know if you would agree with your Give WP plugin, which is excellent. Any news and developments on the plugin front?
I mean, we're just really plugging away at developing further on our Give platform. We're having a lot of new enhancements come out in the next version, which is version 1.5. Some cool UI updates, and then we're also working on some neat stuff with the recurring donations add-on. As well, we just are going through a hiring process too, so getting some more developers on board. So that's exciting for us here. And my partner Matt Cromwell just had his fourth child, which is really exciting as well. We're excited for him, and he's been on paternity leave for the last 2.5 weeks, so he'll be back next week. So we're, excited to have him back in the office as well.
Oh, is he trying to produce his own developers?
I think that's the goal in the end, but he might have to wait a couple years to get him up and running,
I'm a great believer in child labour. I'm only kidding, folks. don't email me. That's just English humour at its darkest. Go on, John. You got a question for Devlin?
Yeah, sure. It's obvious that you are heavily invested in local businesses who are trying to improve their visibility on the web, because you have a whole suite of plugins: Facebook Reviews Pro, Yelp Widget, Google Places Reviews, Yellow Pages. How are small businesses receiving those plugins, and how do you see those expanding in the future?
Yes, we kind of looked at that market a couple years ago, and it started with Yelp. We didn't see any plugins that were doing a good job of tying into the Yelp API. We saw how popular Yelp was with the different restaurants and businesses around here. We're located in downtown San Diego, so we're always using Yelp, and we thought it'd be a good idea. A lot of these restaurants and different websites are using WordPress to allow them to easily tie into the Yelp API via our plugin. Unfortunately, Yelp doesn't have a very good widget themselves, so a lot of people were, kind of interested in this type of thing. So that's kind of what started it, and then it kind of built out from there. We saw a rise in Google's API and their reviews. They really started getting a lot more reviews, a lot more integration into their search. So we decided to do a Google one, and then Facebook as well started increasing their reviews. But the adoption from the businesses has been, for the most part, very positive. Some of these local businesses are do-it-yourselfers, and their expertise, technical expertise, can vary from person to person. Now we try to have the most thorough documentation as possible, but it's difficult a lot of times because Yelp, for instance, has made a number of significant changes to their API, some good, some bad. Makes it difficult for someone with less technical experience to go in and request an API key. A lot of times when you even say API key, they can get lost just in translation there. So we're doing things like, for instance, with Facebook, you don't even need an API key. All you need to do is connect via our app, which we created for Facebook, which allows one-click setup process, so they don't even need to create the app themselves. A lot of times when you install a Facebook plugin, and for instance, if you want to allow people to log in your site via Facebook, your WordPress website, you'll need to set up the application yourself with Facebook. That can get really complex really quickly. So we want to minimize that as much, but still, that being said, there is a lot of support that we have to provide for just getting folks up and running sometimes if they're less technical.
Yeah, I imagine it. So I think you got into that side before you started developing the Give plugin. Is that correct, Devin?
Yeah, a couple of years before, actually. That was the first plugin I ever really developed and released with the Yelp. It's called Yelp Widget Pro. And that was back in, I believe it was released in late 2012 or early 2013. So it's around 3 years old now. And from there, I built out some of the other plugins. And I really had a thing for APIs when I was first developing, because I would just look for popular APIs that hadn't had a plugin developed yet, and know there's a potential market for it right there.
Yeah, I think that's so. What led to the Give plugin? Why did you decide to kind of slightly change direction? And I like to say, folks, that all the plugins, I've used most of them, and they're all great, and the Give plugin is fantastic. So, but what led you to change a slightly different direction, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it is a pivot, but let me explain it how we kind of got to that point. Back in 2013, when I was still on my own as a freelance developer, plugin shop, wanting to start my own plugin shop, I was doing a lot of freelance work, and a lot of the projects I'd get would be for church websites or various nonprofits, and they'd always have a need to accept donations, and their needs would be very particular to the way they wanted to accept donations. So typically we'd be using an e-commerce platform like WooCommerce, or we'd be using a Gravity form to create these donation forms. The problem with both of those are a lot of times our clients wouldn't want an e-commerce interface for accepting donations. For instance, they don't want to see the word product anywhere throughout the entire platform. They didn't want a cart system. They didn't want the users to be taken to a separate screen in order to actually donate, which would be the checkout page in WooCommerce. They wanted the ability to select through multi-level donation options, so $5, $10, $15, but then also have the ability to give a custom amount if needed, and they wanted to do that all on a single page. So we got WooCommerce to work pretty close to that, which is one of the reasons why we developed our other plugin called Quick Checkout, which is a WooCommerce extension. Oh. And so that allowed us to put the checkout page on one screen with your various giving options, but still we were running into different hassles with trying to allow for custom amounts, modifying the emails that went out and sent to different admin notifications, and donor notifications. It was kind of wrestling this big beast that would change with every update, and it was never the way we wanted. So we took a step back and we said, hey, you know, there's a real opportunity here to create a platform that really isn't in the space that's carved out yet. So we did a couple weeks of analysis, then a couple weeks more of devising a product plan, a roadmap, if you will, to develop this. And I think in the last WordCamp San Francisco, which was December 2014, we really had the idea to move forward with it, and then it took 6 months of development for the beta release, and then we were up and running.
So has it been a much bigger challenge than you initially envisioned?
I knew it would be a challenge. It is a lot of development, and there is a lot of particular requests that we get on a day-to-day basis that we aren't fulfilling. But I feel like that's a need, or that's a common thing between different platforms, and we try our best to fulfill 90% of all needs that nonprofits or anyone looking to accept donations wants, but you know, it's hard to please everyone.
Well, yeah, it must be really very difficult. Have you kind of any observations about? Now, I think Pippin Williamson has discussed this on a couple of podcasts about which functionality you do choose to add and which you don't. So have you come to any kind of insights about how that should be managed?
Yeah, so you know, I'm glad you mentioned Pippin. He's a great guy. We work closely together, and I take a lot of notes from what he's done in the industry, and especially, you know, how he's kind of in the last year taken a step back from trying to make EDD into something it's not. And really, we're following the same path. We're not going to make Give into something it's not. So, for instance, if you want to start shipping products, or if somebody donates, you want to have them have a physical product attached to that sends out all this shipping information. We're not going to be that platform. Now, that's being said, we might tie into WooCommerce or another platform that handles that very well, but we're a donation platform. We're not an e-commerce engine, and we like it that way.
Yeah, I can see the sense. Have you got a question, John, you'd like to add on?
Oh no, I'm just I didn't even realize that the quick checkout was a plugin, but this seems like this would solve a lot of it would solve a problem that exists where a lot of people want the ability to check out from a single page without having to go through the the checkout and the cart and the checkout button. And I just think it's really brilliant. Yeah. So was this based on a need that you were seeing people asking for doing your agency work?
Exactly. Yeah. We created it to fulfill that one-page donation, give on one page type of landing page experience. And once we developed it, we thought, you know, a lot of other folks could benefit from this, whether they're a membership site and they have different membership options, and you want the ability to sign up for your membership right there on the landing page rather than being taken through to another page. And for the most part, that's kind of what people have been using it for different landing pages and optimizing the conversion rates through their single pages as well, their single product pages.
Well, I think that's a good spot to go for our break, folks. When we come back, we're going to find more about the Give plugin and some of the others, and also go through some of the books that have influenced Devin in his business career. We'll be back in a minute. We're coming back, and we're going to find out more about Give, some of the other plugins, and something about some of the things that influenced Devin. So, Devin, technically, has the Give plugin been a lot your biggest in-house project so far compared to some of the other plugins, or is it pretty equal to some of the others?
No, absolutely. It's our biggest project, and it's the one we're putting our most effort behind. Not saying that we're not working on the other ones, but by far the Give plugin is our flagship product, and we're really proud of it. That's kind of why it's its own brand entirely. We don't sell any add-ons through our wordimpress.com site. It's all on GiveWP, including the documentation and everything.
So you just mentioned documentation, and that's the other thing. I think your documentation is pretty good, but it's always I would say that I was going to say the elephant in the room, but that's not the right way to put it. But it's something that a lot of developers don't really concentrate. You got any insights about the importance on onboarding and the documentation that's you've had to produce for the plugin?
Yeah, I would say it was very pivotal for the success of our launch, that we did have thoroughly written documentation and getting started guides for the newer folks that were getting started with it. A lot of these users who are installing our plugin for the first time aren't very experienced with setting up specific donation forms and integrating with PayPal or some other gateway like Stripe, and we really wanted to provide all the documentation we can for them. The difficulty is with the documentation is as your plugin progresses and you update the interfaces, a lot of the screenshots might be no longer accurate. As well, if you're writing documentation for PayPal, for instance, they updated their interface from a classic interface to this new one. So just today I was going back through and updating screenshots, making sure that a lot of it's as accurate as possible. And one thing we really want to do more of are videos. Videos especially take a little bit longer to create. You have to edit them down, and then if something is tweaked or there's something changed in it, the whole video could be inaccurate, after a certain update.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the PayPal API. I've been dealing with that recently, Devin. It's a glorious experience, I must add.
Yeah, it's getting better, but it's it's got miles to go, I think, still.
The documentation is breathtaking, to say the least, and their support is quite interesting, really. Got another question, John?
So with the Give plugin, were you surprised at the success of it after following up like Map Builders Pro, which arguably, like before Give rocketed to the top, was your flagship plugin, or did you kind of expect it to be as successful as it's been?
I wasn't sure how big the market or the niche was for nonprofits, but I had a general idea from working with a lot of these agencies and seeing the demand that they were experiencing, their ability to sell to WordPress to these nonprofits with ease, and a lot of the churches that use it, politicians. Really, there's a lot of need to accept donations online, and we really have other plans too to get into crowdfunding with Give and some other avenues as well. So I knew there was a lot of room there, that a lot of the big guys like WooCommerce and even EDD were kind of fulfilling, but not doing it in a much more tailored way. So I wasn't super surprised, but I was very happy to see it happen.
Yeah, because obviously I listened to you on some other podcasts and you said the one area that you've been working hard on is the recurring payment functionality, and I get the impression you're making great progress, but it technically it is quite challenging. Has it been more challenging than even you thought it was going to be?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just before I hopped on this podcast, I was doing some, different development dealing with expiration dates and how all the various gateways like PayPal, WePay, Stripe handle expiration dates, and it can get extremely complex with the different uh, recurring periods that people want to accept donations with, calculating dates based on leap years, accounting for expiration date drifts. For instance, PayPal handles, if a renewal date lands on a certain day of the month, they might push it to the next day of the month, whereas a certain other gateway might not even handle it a similar way. So there's a lot of complexities that go into it. That was just one example, and but it's a fun challenge as well, as long as you're in the mood for it.
So what led you into the world of WordPress development, Devin? Did you have some formal training, or did you go into it as initially as a hobby, and are you self-taught? What's your background?
Yeah, I didn't go to school for computer science. I went to University of Arizona, go Wildcats, and I graduated with a journalism major. So not a very typical degree you see a lot in the development world, but it kind of helped me land my first job out of college, which was as a technical writer in the IT department of a large enterprise here in San Diego. So I was writing basically uh, instruction manuals, documentation, if you will, on how to use software. And eventually that led to, well, first you have to find out how the software works, and then write according to the step-by-step process to get a certain objective done. So eventually that led me down the road to actually figuring out how this software is built. And at the time, I was at a Microsoft enterprise company, so they were doing a lot of .NET technologies. I dabbled in that for a while. I started my first CMS that I developed with was called SharePoint. It's still around. It's the Microsoft Enterprise Intranet CMS platform, and that was a beast. So I got kind of scared of that, and then started moving on, looking at some other things, and I was turned on to the open source world by Joomla. I just was investigating for a while. I wanted to start my own website, build my own website, and I started first using Joomla, and figured I really liked PHP compared to .NET. I played around with ActionScript 3 and Flash for a while, but I saw kind of the writing on the wall with Flash, so I got out of that quickly, and then after a couple months of using Joomla, eventually you progress over to WordPress. It seems you find out about it somewhere. I think I found out about it by setting up another site, and when you first create a site in cPanel, it asks you if you want to start it with an application, and then WordPress was at the top of the list, so I was like, okay, let's install with WordPress, and compared to the interface of Joomla, I was already kind of sold on it, and then I saw the documentation, the codex, and I was really getting excited. And then I went to some meetups, and then really started building with some themes, and got really was sold after that, basically.
Yeah, just shows you if you're determined. It just shows you what you can end up making, doesn't it? Really, doesn't
Exactly.
it? It does, doesn't it? Really. So let's talk about some of your influences, Devin. You were kind enough to fill in some information, and let's look at quickly some of the things you said. Some of your favourite business books. You gave 3. One that Start with Why. Why do you like that one, Devin?
I think it's Simon Sinek is a really well-spoken author and kind of thought leader for businesses and different business-minded people turn to him to get inspired and find direction. So Start with Why is really, I think, a good reason to build a product. You never want to start with how or why should I. I mean, the why was the reason why we started Give, and I attribute that to its success. I think that's an important thing to remember.
Yeah, the next one, Leaders Eat Last. Love the title. I haven't read it myself, actually.
Yeah, that's another Simon Sinek book, and it's basically putting your team before you. And I think, a lot of times when you're in a startup environment, people are tempted to kind of put themselves before the pack, and a lot of times that leads to crash and burn. And I like to lead by doing, lead by example, and I'll put the needs of my employees or my partners before my personal needs any day.
Oh, great. And then to finish off, for 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. What do you like about that?
I like that one because it's all about setting SMART goals, they call them. You set goals that are, SMART is an acronym. I can't tell you what each letter stands for, but it's basically setting goals that are realistic and attainable. And I like to think of myself as a realist. I've been in a lot of circles where people have a lot of pie in the sky ideas, where they talk about in 2 years we're going to be $50 million, and sure, you can do that if you have a path for success and you set those milestones and goals along the way, and you meet those and you achieve your bite-sized chunks first. So that was one of the most the strongest takeaways I had from that book.
And then you kind of gave some of your leadership principles, but before we quickly go through those, running your own business, and I've been running my own business since I was 23, Devon,
Wow.
and that was a few years ago, regrettably. What have you learnt in the process, reflecting back? Is there any particular thing that you've learnt that comes to your mind that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think the one biggest thing and the most difference is the big difference maker is having good partners. I've tried to start businesses in the past by myself, failed. I've tried to start a business with another partner in the past, failed, and then also gotten into a bit of litigation, which was a big headache and a mess. And then finally, at the going around, I vetted these partners very well, and they're taking it to the next level with me. We have, my partner Jason, he's very financial, analytical, and a kind of a sales guy. You have me, which I'm kind of the heads down programmer, technical guy, and then you have Matt Cromwell, who's the community leadership. He handles support, he handles a lot of the outreach that we do, and he puts our name into different people's ears that are have helped us out as well. So having good partners is great. I think that's the most important takeaway.
Oh, thanks, Devon. So, John, have you got a kind of last question you'd like to ask Devon?
Sure. What's if you could boil down your personal philosophy for success into just a few sentences, what would that be?
Oh boy, my personal philosophy for success is, I always go back to leading by doing. Nobody's going to do the hard work for you. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, and you have to see it through to the end. Half done won't cut it. You have to pay attention to all the details. I'm a very detail-oriented and analytical person. So, even if a pixel's off, it'll bug me, and I'll want to fix it right away.
You got to fix those pixels, haven't you, Devon?
Yep.
They're like cats, aren't they? They're hard to herd. So to finish off, Devon's also been gracious and pointed out a special offer that GiveWP is offering. Basically, if you go to givewp.com and you subscribe to their great newsletter, you get 15% off all the add-on bundles, which is not bad, is it, Devon?
Yeah, save you a good little chunk of money.
Yeah, that's great. So how can people get hold of you if they want to sing your praises of your great plugins, Devin?
Well, you can go to my personal website. It's imdev.in, and I'm also on Twitter at interwebs, INNERWEBS, and Facebook as well. I'm always in the advanced Facebook group, and if you're a local San Diego resident, I go to pretty much all the WordPress meetups down here.
Oh, that's great, Devin. So, John, how can people get hold of you?
You can find me at my website, which is lockdowndesign.com, and on Twitter, I am lockdown_.
It's easy
How
to
can
find.
people find you, Jonathan?
Oh, I'm quite easy to find on the internet. I'm all over the place, and I'm a marketing machine. I'm one man marketing machine.
Can't hold him back.
Pardon?
Can't hold him back.
Can't hold it back. Basically, either you just do a Google search, Jonathan Denwood, or you go, I'm normally pretty active on Twitter, and that's at Jonathan Denwood, or you go to the WP website, and we've normally got a lot of additional information, posts, and extra content linked to the podcast. And one thing you could do for us, folks, is if you do go to iTunes to subscribe, please give us a review, even if it's just clicking the 5 stars. It really does help the show, and it kind of motivates us. And I love people emailing me and giving us suggestions through Twitter. It's always great to hear the audience and what you think of the show. So, Devin, you've been a great guest. We really appreciate you. You're a great member of the WordPress community. Give our regards to Bridget. It was sad news. She was a fantastic find. How do you find these fantastic people to work for you? This is what I want to know.
I mean, all being part of the community, that's the thing. We go to meetups. She came to a WordCamp. I think the first one was WordCamp LA, and we saw what a beautiful job she was doing with the social media, and we knew we had something there.
And you bagged her.
Yep. I'm not sure I'd put it that way, but yeah, we got her.
That was an English flippancy again. It does give me. You seem to quite enjoy it, and John seems to cope with it, but it does get me into a little bit of trouble. But I am a hybrid now, but I was brought up in England, so it is what it is. So thanks so much, Devin. It's been a great show. Say goodbye, folks. Goodbye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.